The sun had already gone down behind the dusty hills when Liam walked through the gates of the old junkyard. The sky above was dark, with only a few stars shining through the thick clouds. His boots crunched over broken metal parts and sand as he moved toward his workbench. The junkyard was quiet, just the way he liked it. Liam was a young mechanic. He repaired machines, collected scrap, and often worked late at night to find parts others had missed. This junkyard had once been used by the military, so there were still old ship pieces, rusted robots, and broken drones scattered all around. As he reached his bench, he sat down and opened his small toolbox. He had found a broken helper bot earlier that day, and he wanted to fix it. But just as he was about to begin, he heard something. Clink. He froze. The sound wasn't normal. It wasn't wind or metal falling. It was soft, like someone stepping on loose parts. Liam stood up and looked around, holding a small flashlight. He waited. The sound came again. Clink, shuffle. Someone or something was out there. Liam slowly moved between two tall piles of scrap. His flashlight shook a little in his hand, but he kept walking. As he turned a corner, he saw movement. Just a flash of something small and quick behind an old shuttle wing. "Hello?" he said softly. "Is someone there?" Silence. Liam took a few steps forward. Then he saw her. A young alien girl, no older than 10, was crouching behind the wing. Her skin was pale blue with soft markings across her arms. She had no shoes, and her clothes were torn and dirty. Her eyes were wide with fear, and she didn't speak. Liam quickly lowered the flashlight so it wouldn't shine in her face. He raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't hurt you. Are you lost?" The girl didn't reply. Her lips trembled, and she looked around like she might run. Then she whispered something. "Mama." Liam's eyes widened. "You're not alone?" The girl looked toward a broken stack of scrap nearby. Liam followed her gaze and slowly stepped forward. Behind a pile of metal sheets, he saw a small shelter made from parts of an old escape pod. Inside it, lying on a mat of rags and wires, was a woman, clearly the girl's mother. She looked weak. Her eyes were closed and her breathing was shallow. Her arm was wrapped in fabric stained dark from an old wound. Liam turned to the girl. She was standing beside him now, quiet and shaking. "You've been hiding here?" he asked softly. She gave a small nod. Liam took off his jacket and handed it to her. She hesitated, then slowly reached out and held it tight around her shoulders. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. He looked at the shelter again. These two had been here for a while. Forgotten, lost. Liam knew what he had to do. "I'll be back," he said. "Don't be afraid. I'll bring food. And water. I promise." The girl watched him walk away, holding the jacket tightly. For the first time in many weeks, there was a small feeling in her heart. Hope. Liam didn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about the girl and her mother. How long had they been living like that? No food, no clean water, no roof strong enough to keep them safe. It made his chest feel tight. Early in the morning, before the sun rose, Liam packed a small bag. He filled it with bottled water, dried food, a soft blanket, and a basic medkit. Then he quietly slipped out of his small home and walked back to the junkyard. The junkyard was still empty, covered in a soft layer of morning fog. Liam moved quickly through the rows of old machines, metal scraps, and broken cargo. When he reached the shelter, he stopped and listened. It was quiet. He carefully called out, "It's me. I came back." The girl peeked out from behind the pile of metal. Her face was tired, but she looked a little less afraid than before. Liam gave her a small smile and held up the bag. "I brought food and water," he said. She stepped forward slowly and took the bag. Her hands were thin and shaky. Liam watched as she ran back to her mother. She knelt beside her and gave her some water. The woman opened her eyes slowly and looked at Liam. Her expression was tired but thankful. Liam crouched near the shelter. "My name is Liam. I want to help you." The mother tried to speak, but her voice was weak. The girl spoke instead. "Her name is Arlena. I'm Nira." Liam nodded. "Nice to meet you, Nira. I'll help you both. I promise." He opened the med kit and took out a small healing patch. "Can I see the wound on her arm?" Nira looked at her mother. Arlena gave a small nod. Liam carefully unwrapped the cloth and saw the injury. It looked old, but it hadn't healed properly. He cleaned it with care, applied the patch, and wrapped it again with clean bandages. "It's not perfect, but this should help," he said. Arlena whispered, "Thank you." Her voice was faint, but it was full of emotion. Liam stayed a while, longer. He shared some of the food with Nira and helped her set up the blanket inside their little shelter. It was still small and cold, but it was better than nothing. As the sun rose higher, Liam knew he had to go. He couldn't let anyone know what he was doing yet. But before leaving, he looked at the shelter carefully. It wouldn't last long. The wind, the heat, or another storm could easily tear it apart. He needed to build something better. "Nira," he said, "I'll come again tonight. Don't worry." She looked at him with wide eyes. "Will you really come back?" "Yes," he replied, "and I'll bring more things. I'll make this place better." As Liam walked away, he already had a plan in his mind. He had tools. He had old panels, wires, power cells, and metal sheets. If he worked carefully, he could build them a real shelter, a hidden one, warm and safe. Back at his workshop, Liam drew a rough sketch on a metal board. It wasn't fancy, just a small house made from scrap, with solar power and a door that could lock. But it would be enough. He smiled to himself. They had no one. But now, they had him, and he would not let them be forgotten again. Liam worked through the day like usual, fixing a delivery drone and checking some solar panels for the colony's repair center. But his mind was not fully there. Again and again, he thought about Nira and Arlena. He could still see their tired faces and the broken shelter made from scraps. It wasn't right. They needed more than food. They needed safety, warmth, and peace. When the workday ended, Liam didn't go home. Instead, he stayed behind in the junkyard. He went to the far back corner where the oldest parts were kept. Forgotten machines, broken steel, bent panels, and pieces of old starships. Most people didn't even come here anymore. "This is where I'll build it," he said to himself quietly. He cleared a small space beside a large pile of junk and laid down a few metal sheets as the base. He didn't want anyone to find out, so he worked only at night. His plan was simple: create a strong, hidden shelter for Nira and Arlena using old parts. Nothing fancy, just safe. That night, after sunset, he returned to their hiding spot. Nira saw him and ran toward him with a small smile. She didn't speak much, but her eyes showed happiness. "I brought more food and some tools," Liam said. Arlena was still weak, but she looked better. The healing patch had helped, and the fresh food gave her a little strength. She sat up slowly and gave him a soft nod of thanks. "I'm going to build you both a better place," Liam said gently. "It'll be warm and stronger. No one will find it." Nira tilted her head. "You can build a house from junk," Liam chuckled. "I've been fixing things from junk my whole life. This won't be hard." He showed her a drawing he made on a metal sheet. It was a small shelter with a round roof, a door, and even a tiny window. She looked at it with wonder. "Can I help?" she asked. Liam smiled. "Yes, I'll teach you." From that night on, Liam worked every evening after his job. He brought panels, bolts, a power cell for light, and insulation foam from old cargo pods. Nira helped by cleaning parts, holding tools, and learning how to use a wrench. She was a fast learner. One night, as they worked under the stars, Nira asked, "Why are you helping us?" Liam paused, looked at the half-built shelter, then at her. "Because it's the right thing to do. No one should be left alone, especially not a child and her mother." Nira looked down. then whispered, "Many people saw us before." They walked away. "I won't," Liam said. "You're not alone anymore." As days passed, the small home started to take shape. The walls were made of ship panels, the roof curved to keep rain out, and the floor had a layer of soft padding, from old escape pods. He even added a battery to power a small light. But Liam knew time was short. The more he came to this area, the more people noticed him staying late. If someone followed him, they might find the shelter. And if they reported it, Nira and Arlena could be taken away. He had to finish soon. That night, as he packed his tools, Arlena quietly spoke for the first time in full. "You have a good heart, human," she said. Liam turned to her. "And you have a family worth saving." The shelter wasn't done yet, but something else had already started to grow. Trust. Every evening, Liam returned to the junkyard with a bag full of tools and supplies. Nira was always waiting for him, her face brighter than before. Arlena still stayed inside most of the time, but she watched them through the small shelter opening. Her eyes calm and thankful, Liam and Nira worked side by side. The hidden shelter in the junkyard started to look more like a real home. They added stronger support beams using old shuttle parts. Liam taught Nira how to connect power wires to a solar battery. It was simple power, just enough for a light, and maybe a small heater. But to Nira, it felt like magic. One night, Liam brought something special, a plastic window from a broken cargo pod. "This will let you see the stars from inside," he said. Nira smiled wide. "It's beautiful." Together, they fitted the window into the back wall of the shelter. When they were done, they sat on an old crate and looked through it. The stars above were cold and far, but through the new window, they looked peaceful. Liam asked, "Do you miss your home planet?" Nira nodded slowly. "It was green, full of trees and lakes, but we were always moving. My father, he was lost in a battle. After that, it was just me and Mama. Then the ship broke." Liam said nothing. For a while, he just listened. Then he said softly, "You're safe here now. You won't be moving anymore." Each night, the small shelter grew better. Liam added a roof cover made from a heat shield. It kept out the cold wind. He brought in old bedding and made a small table from machine panels. There was even a curtain made from emergency blankets, giving them privacy inside. Nira loved learning. She asked questions about every tool, every wire, every part. Liam answered with patience. He enjoyed teaching her. She was smart and curious. One night, she repaired a broken circuit by herself, and Liam clapped proudly. "You're a real engineer now," he said. She laughed. "I want to fix things like you someday." But while the nights were full of progress and quiet joy, the days brought worry. Some workers at the colony had noticed Liam staying late. One man asked him, "You living in that junkyard now or what?" Liam just smiled and said, "Too many broken bots to fix." But deep down, he knew someone might get suspicious. If they found out about Nira and Arlena, it could mean trouble. The colony didn't allow outsiders to live without records. Aliens with no ID or permit were often taken away for questioning. He couldn't let that happen. He started working faster, adding stronger walls, locking panels, and better insulation. He hid the shelter behind taller stacks of scrap and moved pieces around to block the path. One evening, while finishing the last section of the roof, Liam looked at the small home they had built together. It wasn't big, it wasn't fancy, but it was strong, warm, and hidden. "It's done," he said with a tired smile. Nira hugged him without warning. Liam froze for a second, then gently patted her back. "Thank you," she whispered. Inside, Arlena watched with silent tears in her eyes. She had seen many things in her life: loss, fear, and pain. But this human, with his kind heart and quiet strength, had given her and her daughter something rare: a second chance. Liam woke up to the sound of knocking on his door. It was early morning. He rubbed his eyes and opened the door to see two workers from the colony standing outside. One of them was Greg, a nosy man who always liked to gossip. The other was Toma, who worked near the transport center. "Hey, Liam," Greg said with a grin. "You've been spending a lot of time in the junkyard lately." Liam forced a small smile. "Just fixing old parts. Got a lot of requests this week." Toma raised an eyebrow. "At night, too? Someone saw your light out there near the back piles." Liam shrugged. "Some bots work better in peace and quiet." They laughed, but Greg's eyes stayed sharp. "Well, just be careful. You know the rules. No one's supposed to live out there." "I know," Liam said calmly. "Don't worry." They left soon after, but the visit left Liam nervous. If they started asking too many questions or walking around the junkyard at night, they could find the shelter. He couldn't let that happen. That evening he returned to the junkyard quickly, checking for any signs of others. Thankfully, the area was quiet. Nira and Arlena were inside the shelter, reading a picture book Liam had brought last night. It was an old Earth book with stories about stars and faraway places. He stepped in and closed the curtain. "We have to be careful now," he said. "People are getting curious." Nira looked up, worried. "Will they take us away?" Liam shook his head. "Not if I can help it." He thought for a moment, then he started moving scrap pieces again, this time stacking them higher and wider around the shelter. He made the area look messier than before, like it had never been touched. It took hours, but by the time he was done, the little home was completely hidden. He also worked on the door. Using a few spare parts, he created a simple locking system, easy for them to use from the inside but hard for strangers to open. Nira helped by placing silent alarms, strings with metal cans that would make a light noise if someone stepped too close. She had learned that trick from Liam and was proud to use it. That night they didn't build. They just sat together. Arlena, resting against the padded wall, finally spoke clearly. "We are not used to this kindness." "You deserve it," Liam said. "No one should be left behind." Arlena looked at him with quiet eyes. "My people, they don't trust humans easily. But you're different." Liam didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. He just handed her a warm drink from a recycled bottle. Suddenly, they heard footsteps. Liam froze. Someone was walking near the junkyard entrance. He quickly turned off the small light inside and motioned for Nira to stay quiet. The steps were slow. Maybe someone just walking past, or maybe looking. The noise faded after a while. They waited in silence for a few more minutes. Then Liam whispered, "It's okay now. But we need to be ready from now on." Nira nodded. She didn't look scared. She looked strong. They had built a home from nothing, and now they would protect it. Outside, the stars shined over the junkyard like silent watchers. And under those stars, hidden behind broken machines and rusted parts, something beautiful was growing. Trust, care, and a bond no one could break. Days passed quietly. Liam continued to visit the shelter every night, always careful, always alert. He brought more food, fixed the light, and even found an old heater that still worked. The shelter had become more than a hiding place. It had become a home. But peace never lasts forever. One morning, dark clouds began to roll over the sky. The winds picked up, strong and sharp, throwing dust and dry leaves into the air. The colony weather station sent out a warning. A sandstorm was coming. Liam's heart dropped when he heard the alert. He looked at the sky, then at the junkyard in the distance. "I need to check on them." He grabbed his jacket, a bag of supplies, and ran through the wind toward the junkyard. The storm had not fully started, but the air was already thick with dust. The sun looked like a weak red circle behind the clouds. When Sadim, he reached the hidden shelter. Nira was outside tying down a loose panel. Her face was covered with a cloth. She saw Liam and ran to him. "We tried to hold it, but the wind is strong," she said loudly over the howling wind. "Where's your mom?" Liam asked quickly. "Inside," he rushed in. Arlena was sitting on the padded floor, wrapping their few belongings. Liam checked the roof, the corners, and the door. The shelter was strong, but he had never tested it in a storm. "We'll stay here together," he said. "It's safer than outside." The storm hit full force an hour later. The wind howled like a wild creature. Sand flew through the air, hitting the junkyard with sharp gusts. Metal pieces clanged together in the distance. The piles of scrap shook under the storm's anger. Inside the shelter, the three of them sat close. The heater gave off a warm hum, and the light flickered but stayed on. Dust tried to sneak in through the cracks, but the walls held. Nira leaned against Liam's arm. "Is it going to break?" "No," he said firmly. "We built it right. It's strong." The shelter creaked, now and then, but it stood. Hours passed. They shared water, a few energy bars, and quiet stories to distract from the storm outside. At one point, a loud crash shook the shelter. Something big had fallen nearby. Nira jumped, but Liam held her hand. "We're okay," he said calmly. "Just junk falling. Nothing will reach us here." The storm lasted nearly all night. By morning, the wind finally slowed. The sky was still dusty, but light shone through. Liam opened the door carefully. The junkyard was a mess. Many piles had collapsed. Metal parts were scattered everywhere. But in the middle of it all, the little shelter still stood. Arlena stepped out and looked around. She breathed deeply and smiled. "It protected us." Liam nodded. "We did it. Together." Nira clapped her hands. "It's our home. Nothing broke." Liam looked at the shelter with pride. Built from scraps, held together by trust and care, and now tested by nature, it had survived. That afternoon, while cleaning up the fallen parts, Nira found something shiny buried in the dust. It was a small mirror from a luxury shuttle, still unbroken. She brought it to Liam. "Can we put this inside?" He smiled. Of course. Every home needs a mirror. And so, they added it to the wall, a reminder of the storm they had faced and the bond that had only grown stronger. The storm had passed, but its memory stayed with them. The junkyard was quiet again. Many parts had been buried or blown far away, but the little shelter stood strong, like a small island of hope in a sea of metal. Liam returned to work at the colony as usual. No one asked many questions anymore. He kept his visits to the junkyard short during the day and continued helping Nira and Arlena at night. He fixed a second solar battery and brought a small cooking unit from a repair shop that no one wanted. The home inside the junkyard now had light, warmth, food, and even a curtain for privacy. Nira decorated the inside using colorful wires and old screens. One wall had the mirror she found after the storm, and beside it, Liam painted words using white paint from a broken drone canister. "Rebuilt Heart Station." "Why that name?" Nira asked, touching the letters gently. Liam smiled. "Because all of this came from broken things. Metal, wires, even hearts. But now, it's something new." Arlena stood near the door, stronger than before. Her wound had healed and she could now walk without help. She looked peaceful, no longer afraid or weak. "You gave us life again," she said one evening. "We had nothing left, but you didn't walk away." "You're not a burden," Liam replied. "You're family now." That word, family, meant everything to Nira. She held it close to her heart. News of the storm slowly faded in the colony. No one asked about the strange lights in the junkyard anymore. Liam had built a fake maintenance permit and posted it near the front gates. It claimed that the area was under long-term repair. Most people ignored it. One night, Nira brought Liam a small box she had made from scrap. "What's this?" he asked. "Open it," she said, smiling wide. Inside was a simple metal badge with 3 carved shapes, a human, a child, and a star. "We made it together," she said. "You belong here too." Liam's chest felt warm. He took the badge and pinned it on his jacket. The next day, something unexpected happened. A drone arrived at the junkyard carrying a message. It came from a group of travelers passing through the outer sectors. One of them had once been saved by Arlena's husband long ago. When they heard she might still be alive, they sent help. They offered safe travel and a chance to start a new life on a peaceful planet nearby. Arlena looked at Nira, then at Liam. "We could go," she said. "We could start over, be free again." Nira didn't speak right away. She looked around the small shelter, their little home, the walls they built with their own hands. But Liam, "What about you?" Liam paused. "This is your chance. You deserve it." Nira took his hand. "Come with us." He looked at them both, then at the badge on his jacket. After a long breath, he nodded. "Okay, let's build a new home, together." They packed what they could, said goodbye to the junkyard, and boarded the travel drone. As they flew higher, Nira looked down at the metal sea below, the place where fear had turned to safety, where a stranger became family, and where a home had been made from scrap. And now their journey would continue. Together.